Well, hello, and I'm sorry I'm late. 5 minutes late, in fact. So look forward to seeing some faces coming up, and apologies for that. I've been running around today, it's been a busy day. I've had meetings and breastfeeding clinic, and just finished the breastfeeding clinic at just 2:15, so I've run up the stairs to get ready. So a different room today. Turned up at the room that we've been using recently, and it was really occupied, so I had to find another place. So hopefully won't get bumped out of here. But, nice to see all your faces coming up on here. Brilliant. Let's see if I can see it coming up on my laptop too, so it's easier to see the questions. So, oh, I'm sorry. I've just got someone come up here. Anchor's just come. I've been waiting. I am really sorry I'm late today. I've been in clinic. I've seen 3 lovely mummies and babies today in clinic, and it's been fantastic. But it has meant I'm a little bit late, so apologies for that. I'm just trying to see if I can see things coming up. Oh, lots of you piling in now. But think about the questions you might have for me. Oh, fabulous. Oh, I can see, I was just looking what I can see in the background. Hand gel, what a surprise in the hospital, lots of that. But something we're all used to. At least it's sunny out there today, which is nice. Okay, I hope you've all been thinking about lots of brilliant questions to keep me going. It's just me today, it's Alex from Infant Feeding. Naomi is having a week's annual leave, she's decorating her house. She's taking, each time she's off, she's decorating another room, so she's getting on with it. So you've just got me today. And as I said, we've been busy in the infant feeding team. We've been in breastfeeding clinic this morning, and both me and Elisa have been in breastfeeding clinic and had meetings this morning as well. So we're keeping going and seeing lots of you on the wards. But to think about those questions you might have for us today. I was asked a question earlier on today about formula milk. Have we ever spoken about formula milk on this? And I thought I would just mention about formula milk. And I know I said it before, just to say to you all that you know, if you do end up giving formula milk for one reason or another, just to remind you that formula milks are all the same, and that the formula milks companies have to make it to a specific requirement. It's like going and buying paracetamol, whether you buy branded paracetamol or you buy Sainsbury's own paracetamol, it's all the same. So you're not going to be doing your baby a disservice if you end up having to use formula milk and you buy the cheapest brand out there. And to remind you that if you do end up giving formula milk, that you only need to use the first stage formula milk for the whole of the first year. So we don't need to go on to things like follow-on milks and growing up milks or good night milks or all these interesting different named milks that you can find out there. They're just marketing ploys, so you can just stick with the first stage formula milk. Now I can see questions coming on through, and I'm just trying to work out why it's not coming through on my phone. Ah, there they are. Brilliant. So let's just see if I can see this. So I'm going to be looking at my computer. Perfect, that's working today. I love it when it works. So that means I can see the messages as they come through, and I don't have to peer up there and flip the screen, which is what I've done so many times. So lovely to see these names coming up. So thank you, Anchored, for your message about waiting. Sorry about that. And I haven't said today, Naomi normally does this bit, so this is a feeding session. This is all about feeding. So your questions can, ideally are about feeding. If they're more sort of midwifery based, as in, sort of more to do with birth, etc., then I will do my best, but the likelihood is I will actually signpost you onto somewhere else. So Wendy Randall is now doing the midwifery slots as well, I think every other week. So that's a really good one to go to. And if you've got a particular question, your own midwife. So today's really about feeding, early days, and that sort of thing, really. Anyway, Kelly has put a question up. She's due on Monday and wondering how much colostrum I should express in advance. Kelly, unless there's a problem, you don't need to express any at all. So I don't know if you maybe have diabetes. So mothers who have diabetes, we would be recommending that they do a bit of expressing before they come. The reason for that is that a baby that is born to a mother who has diabetes is going to have their blood sugars checked when they're born. And if the blood sugars drop a bit, which babies' blood sugars do, we might want to give them a little bit more additional milk. And ideally, it's your colostrum, because that's the best thing to bring up blood sugars. So Kelly, I think it's just a case of seeing how you get on. I don't know how you've been getting on, whether you've got much already, but just bring in a small amount. So no matter how much you express, the ideal thing would be to bring in a very small amount Bring it in a cool box with ice blocks. Keep it frozen as long as possible, because once defrosted, it's got to be used within 12 hours, and we don't want to waste it. And hopefully you don't live too far away. You're going to probably tell me you live the outer reaches of Oxfordshire now, or maybe not even Oxfordshire. But the reason I say that is because if you can leave the majority of it home, then hopefully whoever you're living with, your partner, etc., could bring it in for you and drop it off. So that would be the best thing. Is, you know, with regard to how much, well, as much as you can get. We normally suggest that you express 4 times, you know, once you've got to 37 weeks, so 4 times a day. If you're getting lots, that might be numerous syringes. I'm just looking at my box, you know, the syringes that we show off regularly on here, so it might be numerous ones of these syringes. Or if you're not getting a huge amount and it's no indication of what's going to happen going forward, you might just use the same syringe each, you know, for one day. So your 4 sessions may just give you a little bit in here. So I think it's very much seeing how you get on, aiming to do maybe 4 times a day, but not feeling you have to do it if there isn't a risk factor. So, you know, if we're not worried about your baby because of maybe you having diabetes, or we're not worried about your baby because they're going to be a bit early or something, in fact your baby said you're due, so your baby's not going to be early, then if your baby is expected to be healthy and term, then you don't actually need to do it at all if you don't want to. You could just have a practice and learn the skill. So see how you get on with that, Kelly, and hopefully that will be okay. Anchor's come back and said, I have a question regarding changes in my breast. My little one's 14 weeks old and I found that my breasts don't feel as full anymore. How do I know that my baby's getting full feeding? Is it back to the basics? How many dirty and pee nappies? Absolutely. So it's really common that after 6 weeks that women say that their breasts don't feel so full. So you're really normal in that respect. I know you're a bit further on than that, Anchored. You're at 14 weeks. But it's really, really common that from 6 or so weeks onward, the body starts to calibrate the amount of milk the mother's producing to meet the baby's needs. So what we anticipate is that mothers find that they don't have that full feeling so often, but it does not mean you do not have milk. You still have plenty of milk for your baby. So as you've already said, you've answered your own question. Look at the poos and the wees. Now, from 6 weeks onwards, we expect a baby to poo slightly less frequently. Now, I know we spend a lot of time on these sessions, Naomi and I, talking about how often we want a baby to poo and wee. And it's page 17 of this leaflet, Off to the Best Start. So it's on page 17, and what you've got there is the poo chart and the wee chart. Now, the wees carry on. They carry on. We expect them to carry on doing 6 heavy wet nappies every single day, all the way through. But actually, with regard to the poos, a breastfed baby might start having bigger gaps between their poos once they get to 6 weeks, and that's really normal. So you might find that you've got, there might be a day or so, or even more between poos, and your baby poos slightly less frequently after 6 weeks. However, up to 6 weeks, I'll reiterate what we say every time, we expect your baby to be pooing every single day. Ideally, 2 £2 coin size yellows poos, a bit like this. So from the point of view of you with your baby, Anchored, you're looking at looking to make sure your baby's just doing what they normally do. The poos and the wees, are they growing out of their clothes? Does your breast feel a bit softer after the feed? Because I'm sure it does feel a little bit full. You may not feel really full, but you'll feel, you can feel your breast afterwards. And I'm sure you're still producing. If you've got to 14 weeks, I'm sure you're still producing everything your baby needs. We don't normally have a problem with milk supply at this lovely stage. So you've done a great job. Well done, you, Anchored. I'm going to move on to Charlotte, one of our regulars. She's saying, hi, hope we're okay and keeping safe. Alicia's nearly 10 months and she's got 6 teeth on top and bottom. And your friend's having a baby girl. Congratulations to your friend, well done. So Amber has put a question. When packing a hospital bag, do you recommend packing sterilised bottles, or would they be provided if someone couldn't establish breastfeeding right away? Amber, we have everything you need. Everything. So we will help you with breastfeeding. If breastfeeding needs a bit of a help, we're going to help you to hand express, and we might express into these syringes that we have here. Because a baby's tummy is so tiny when they're first born. I'm just looking to see if I can see my stomach sizes. Here they are. They come out every week. So remember, a newborn baby's stomach is absolutely tiny. I'm just looking for it. Here it is. So a tiny, weeny tummy. So we're not talking big volumes. So that's why we hand express into syringes. The other reason we express into syringes is because colostrum is so thick and gloopy, and actually if you try to put it in a pump kit or a bottle, you'd lose it. So this way we don't lose any of it. And so that's the first thing we would do if you're struggling, is we would help you with hand expressing, teach you how to do it, get you going with the syringes. If you're still with us and the volumes are going up, we have all the bottles you need. And should for any reason you need more milk than you can produce, the first thing we'll offer you is donated breast milk. So we've got some wonderful women out in Oxfordshire who are pumping away and donating their excess milk, which we're eternally grateful for. So the first thing you would be offered is donated breast milk. So the reason we do that is because that helps maintain human milk exclusivity. So if you think about it, human to human, you're giving the same sort of milk. The proteins in human milk are different to cow's milk, and formula milks are based on cow's milk. So wherever we can, we try and keep a baby human milk exclusive for as long as possible. So the first thing you'll be offered is donated breast milk, and it's all checked. There's no concern, we don't have concerns about this. The mothers who donate are they're screened, they're asked if they're taking any medications, they have the same blood tests that you had at the beginning of your pregnancy, and then their milk is tested when it comes in, it's then pasteurised, and then it's tested again before it's given out onto the wards, into the neonatal unit. So that's what we would do first, is donated. So hand expressing yourself, donated, and then if we needed to, we do have formula, so we would be able to support you with giving formula, and we have all the bottles and the teats, so don't worry about bringing anything like that in. Just come in with a positive mental attitude. Come in believing you're going to be able to do it, and that will be the best thing you can do. So good luck with that, Amber, and hopefully that's one less thing to put in your bag. So bring the things for you. Bring in a snack you might like and everything, or whatever drinks you like. Although we do feed you, I promise we feed you. We don't leave you hungry. Amy has come back. My 7-week-old gets very distressed during and after feeds. I know she's some wind and she's always sick afterwards, but sometimes she'll only feed for 10 minutes and then cry and writhe around for up to an hour afterwards. Is there anything I can do to help her to be more comfortable? Amy, I wonder if we need to get someone to look at your positioning and attachment again. I know we say this every week, but we talk about positioning and attachment. It's just because actually it really does make a big difference. A millimetre or two can make all the difference as to the position that the baby's ability to milk the breast. So I often use these pictures, and I particularly like this one. And it's remembering that your baby wants to go on with their chin leading, upper lip just skinning the nipple. And I can't remember how old it is, 7 weeks old. I wonder if you perhaps need to think about, has your baby grown? Do you need to allow for a growth for a bigger baby? Let me just grab a doll. So if you think about the newborn, I wish I had a little one, the newborn baby, you might be holding them here. And what often happens is as the baby gets bigger, we don't actually bring them further round, we still leave them here, so they become more central. So the baby that was here now is here, and actually really what we want to be doing is going here and here, bringing that baby round the body, so they're going to get more and more baby round you. Now that might sound like, why do I think that might be having an impact? It's because in order to get that nose opposite nipple look, the baby has to be starting here. So if your baby is actually starting here, they're not going to manage it, and they're not going to feed well, and they're not going to milk the breast well. They're going to have too much of that watery part from the beginning of the feed because they haven't got the right mouthful. They're not going to have as much of the fattier milk that comes towards the end of the feed, and they're going to have an unsettled tummy. They might have green poo. They might be really unhappy and very windy. So it's as simple as maybe just looking at that. You can do it yourself. If you think about, just get a knitted breast out, thinking, right, I'm going to start nose opposite nipple, and remember that this baby wants to be reaching. So you want your baby coming to the breast, nose opposite nipple, and reaching for the breast. We don't want the baby, because they're too far over, coming on like this. That's not going to work. They've got to come on in that position. So I think that might be worth just trying. Do that as the first thing. Make sure you've got your baby, more and more of your baby coming round you, because I'm sure now at 7 weeks your baby's a very different size to the baby you took home when you first had your baby. If that isn't enough, then get in touch with somebody. So at 7 weeks you're under your health visitors, so you could contact them and get someone to come and have a look. They would be your first line of care, the other places would be any of the local organisations such as the Latch League and Abingdon Baby Cafe and Oxfordshire Rescue as well. But start with your health visitor and see how you get on. But I really just think allow for the fact that your baby's now 7 weeks. Make sure you've got a lot more baby going around your side than you did previously. See how you get on with that, Amy, and I hope that works. Sophie's put a question up. She's 36 weeks and 4 days. Should I start collecting colostrum? Thanks. Well, the recommendation is usually 37 weeks, Sophie, so hang off a bit, but you could go online and have a look at our website. So if you go and have a look at OUH, the hospital website, OUH maternity and then infant feeding, you'll find we've got a leaflet on there. So go onto our resources and we've got a leaflet about expressing while you're pregnant. And it talks you through step by step doing it, why you might want to do it and how to do it. And there are some great videos out there. Something like Global Health Media have some fabulous videos showing hand expressing, and the UNICEF Baby Friendly Initiative do it too. So have a quick peek at those and have a think. But we wouldn't normally start until 37 weeks. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you don't have to do it. It's not obligatory. If we've got any risk factors, then it's a good thing to do. If you just want to learn how to do the skill, that's fine, but don't feel obliged to do it. So, you know, maybe just learn how to do it, see you can do it. That's something that you can do before you've had your baby. You're not learning something brand new when you've had your baby, when you'll be really tired. But don't feel the need to be collecting or doing anything unless there's a particular reason. Just know you've got that skill. Kelly's come back. Thank you. I haven't got diabetes but struggled with feeding last time, so I want to be prepared. Now that's a very good reason for doing it, Kelly, that if you had problems before. So there are lots of reasons why, and I think that's in our leaflet as well, that actually if you struggled with feeding previously, then actually this is a good thing to do. It's a buffer. So, you know, Sophie, I'm not saying don't do it, but it's, you know, don't feel obliged to do it and don't feel you need to collect lots. So Kelly, yes, by all means, I think for you then, if you had problems before, it's nice to have that peace of mind that you've got something to give your baby and you don't have to be worried about it. So I think that's a very good reason to do it, Kelly. And again, you might like to look at the leaflet we've got as well. I said it's online. If you go to the hospital website, OUH, and then maternity and infant feeding, you'll find our resources page there and links and everything as well. And our leaflet's on there, you can have a look at it on there. So that was Sophie and Kelly. Paul has come on saying, currently pregnant, 27 weeks, not able to breastfeed my first and able to breastfeed my second with silicone shields. While on maternity, should I take some with me just in case? So Paula, we do use shields and we think they're really useful, but we wouldn't tend to use them in those really, really early days. And the reason for that is it can inhibit your milk supply. So by all means have them, you know, ready for you for the future. But let's hope this baby's going to be different. And look at that progression you've already had. You know, not able to feed your first baby, able to feed your baby with shields, second baby with shields. Well, this baby might feed without them. So let's give them a chance. So, you know, let's be ever hopeful. Obviously, you know where they are, because that's something to know, you know, to be useful, might be useful going forward. So know where they are, have them to hand should you need them. The reason that I say we don't tend to use them early on is because that stimulation of the first few days before the milk really comes in, when you're still at colostrum, we know that the shields can really inhibit that stimulation, and women who are using shields really early on may have problems with their milk supply going forward. So we would, as much as possible, avoid using shields in the early days when milk is being established. The way that we use them as a team is we often use them if we've got babies that have not attached at the breast, who have had maybe a number of bottles, and then actually we can transfer that baby to feeding at the breast via a shield, because the baby goes, oh, I know what this is, it feels right, and they go on and they then feed from the breast, whereas before they were going, I don't know what this is, and they literally are there at the breast going, I don't know what this is, and anyone who's seen it will know that what I'm doing is, you know, exactly what they do. So thinking about those first few days, Paula, I would try and avoid using them as much as you can. So come in hoping that you're going to feed this baby directly from the breast, but have them up your sleeve ready just in case things don't go well later. But you know, and actually what will help with that, Paula, is as much uninterrupted skin-to-skin contact when your baby is first born. So get, you know, when your baby's born, have them put on your chest, which is what will automatically happen anyway unless you say otherwise, and leave your baby there until they have fed. That feeding and staying close to you, going through these 9 stages that we've talked about here before, about, you know, taking that first breath, being a bit active, looking around, doing a bit of crawling, working their way to the breast, and then eventually licking and then attaching, and the 9th stage is sleeping. So the 8th stage is the feeding. If they go through all those stages without being interrupted, they should then feed and then go to sleep. If we interrupt them, they go back to the beginning, and they may not get to 8, and then they'll skip straight to 9. It's a bit like a game of snakes and ladders. So they don't, sometimes they skip 8 and go to 9, and if they've skipped 8, that can be quite difficult. So the reason that it's a very important feed is that your baby is born without any preconceived ideas of what your breast is going to be like. So thinking about that, Paula, what we want your baby to do is to have the opportunity to be around your breast, to lick it, and hopefully to try and attach. And then your baby goes, that's what a breast is like. My mother's breasts are the only breasts I'll ever know, and this is what they're like. So, as I say, know where your nipple shields are, just in case, but come in hoping that this baby is going to take you on to the next stage and give that baby as much of a chance as possible by having uninterrupted skin to skin. That means not being taken off for a cuddle with someone else, not being taken off for a wait, not being taken off for observations. Your baby stays on you. I would write that in your birth plan, in your notes. Write, I want uninterrupted skin to skin contact, as I know this is going to give me a good chance to get this baby to feed. And that should be respected, Paula. So thinking of you, I hope things go well. We've got a few weeks yet. If you've got any more questions, obviously come back and ask, and we'll help as much as we can. Moving on to Sarah's question. Hi, she said, I'm not sure if you remember me, but I was in last week after having my little girl. I was the emotional wreck as my baby was under the lamp for jaundice. Oh, you poor darling. I was formula feeding, but since being home, I've managed to start expressing. Yes, although I was very emotional throughout your chat with us. It was great to listen to. Thank you very much. Sarah, that's lovely to hear, and I'm so pleased that things have changed a bit for you. And you have every right to be an emotional wreck in those early days, and when your baby's under the lamp, it is really, really hard. And anybody who has been there will know it's awful, because your baby's under they're like, anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's when babies are jaundiced, and it's like a heater that sits above the baby, but it's not a heater as such. It's a lamp that gives out light, and it's to help the baby break down the bilirubin in their body. And it's awful because when the baby's under the lamp, mums can't pick them up at that point in time because they need to be under the lamp as much as they can be. And so sometimes it can be really distressing if the baby gets upset. Obviously you pick them up, but we want them under the lamp as much as possible. So Sarah, no apologies needed for being emotional. It's totally normal, and I'm so pleased to hear things are going well. And that's lovely hope for others as well. Sophie's come on, are there certain pumps you'd suggest? Well, to be honest, the pumps are so wide and varied. There are so many different ones you can get. You can get things like, well, you can get hand pumps. Hand pumps are really good. I don't think we've got one in here today, actually. I have one at home normally when I do it from home. Hand pumps, 30 odd pounds, not much more. If you're doing a lot of pumping, they can be a bit tiring. Mothers who are trying to push their milk supply, pumping all the milk the baby needs, might find a hand pump is a bit too much. That might be a bit difficult, and we'd suggest a pump, an electric pump. A hand pump is useful for someone who is just pumping maybe after the first feed in the morning to give their baby some milk later in the afternoon if the partner wants to give a feed. So that's when a hand pump might be useful. Electric pumps, you can get single and double. There are advantages of both. A double pump is what we would normally recommend if you're really pushing your milk supply, because you'll spend slightly less time pumping for slightly more milk overall. Because the one thing your breasts do together is let down. So that hormone from back here in the pituitary gland goes down and into the breast at the same time, your oxytocin, and your milk is let down. So from that point of view, that's where a double pump comes into its own. But a single pump comes into its own because it allows you to be really hands-on. So if I use this pump kit here, I'll take those bits out so we don't need them. It allows you to be really hands on the breast and really massage and compress the breast with your hands. Alternatively, if you have double pump, you could take an old bra or a crop top, cut holes, and then your hands are free anyway. And it's very much budgets as well. So you can buy something like a Bella Baby electric pump on Amazon, and they're somewhere between 40 and 50 pounds, so they're really quite cheap for pumps. And then you can go right up to the other end of the spectrum, and there's the LV pump, which is 250 pounds, and they fit in the bra, so you can go about your normal business and you're pumping at the same time. That's LV, that's ELVIE. So that's Bella Baby, literally as in Bella Love, pretty baby, and LV, that's the totals, the one end to the other. In the middle, you've got Amida and Medela and Lansno and Tommy Tippy. There are so many different pumps out there, but it's way more to do with how you use your pump than the amount of money you spend on it. I will just say, caveat on the Bella Baby pump is that if you think about different nipple sizes, if you've got nipples on the larger side, a Bella Baby is not for you, because the Bella Baby has quite a small flange. So when I talk about that, I mean this bit here, this hole here, in there, it's not very wide, and therefore, and there's no choice, you can't get a second one of these funnels with it. Therefore, if you've got a nipple on the slightly larger side, then Bella Baby is not for you, go for one of the other makes. But there are lots out there, and you can do comparisons on some of these sites and have a look and see, and as I say, it's more to do with how you use it and your pumping technique than the money that you spend on it, unless you really want to be hands-free, and then the LV is the only one at the moment. So there you go. Just the final thing to say on that is that the companies that make hospital grade pumps are Amida, so that's AMEDA, Medela, they've all got very similar names, that's the yellow ones, MEDELA, and Ardo, ARDO. So those three makes, you can find all of them on Amazon, they're all available, and they make hospital grade pumps, and all three of them make mini electric ones as well. So they are, I have to say, when we use them for clinic and things, we would normally buy one of those because we know they're good workhorses, they keep going for a long time. But as I say, more to do with how you use it. Sophie, I've given you tons of information. I'm really sorry, that was a bit much really, but something to think about anyway. So there's lots out there, loads of different prices, and more to do with how you use it than anything else. I'm going on to Joanna. She said, sorry for the long question. Well, we have to put the see more to see the rest of it. My baby's now 9 days old. Unfortunately, we're not getting any sleep in the night because little one is having colic. Whatever we're doing, he doesn't want to settle except cuddling. What was hard is he doesn't want to be touched. Massaging belly, maybe breastfeeding. Is there something we can do to help him and our neighbours with sleep? Every time we put him to his bed, after managing to calm him down, the whole thing starts again. P.S. Thank you for your suggestions of how to feed baby. We have seen each other on Saturday. Oh, brilliant. I'm glad we met on Saturday. That's lovely. So first and foremost, I'll say your baby is only very, very young. Very, very young. 9 days. They're still not used to the idea they've been born, really, and they don't want to sleep in cots and prams and chairs or anywhere. They just don't really want to be away from you. So part of it's separation. And many, many babies do not sleep much at night. It's really common that babies don't sleep much at night. It comes in time, it's really hard. It's thought that around 6 weeks babies begin to really understand the difference between night and day, and they might start getting slightly longer periods of sleep. But it is very common. What you're going through at the moment is hard. The colic, I think, at day 9 you should still be under the community midwife. So I would say, Joanna, get some help. Get someone to come out and see you. They might be talking about doing a day 10 visit for you tomorrow, and to discharge you. But give them a shout today and just go, really could do with some help. Baby's colicky. Someone come and have a look at what's happening. Colic in a breastfed baby goes back to positioning and attachment. It goes back to what I was talking about earlier. If a baby's going on and they're not accessing that heavier, fattier milk toward the end of the feed because of the way they're going on, then they get a lot of that sugary, watery first part of the feed, which is still fantastic, but it doesn't settle their tummies in the same way, and they end up with often might end up with green frothy stools, and they're very uncomfortable. They've got very uncomfortable tummies because gas is being brought in the process, additional water's coming into the tummy, and the baby feels very, very uncomfortable. So I think if you can, get your community midwives to come out, because you're still under them, and that's what they're there for. Come and support you. Get them to come and have a look at your positioning and attachment. Make sure you're doing it as brilliantly as you can. And things for the night are things like maybe warming the bed before you put your baby in it, or having a t-shirt that you've worn, maybe a t-shirt that you've been wearing, one you're wearing today maybe, put that in the bed with your baby so they can smell you. They think they're right next to you then. They just don't like being separated. So then there's a couple of things going on here. I think it's not just the colic, I think it's babies just don't like being away from you. They love being right on you because they just don't know they're safe. And I'm sorry if I've told you this before, because I know I tell lots of people, it's just, babies feel that they're only safe when they're with their mummies and their daddies. They want that closeness and comfort, they want that warmth, and they just don't get that they're safe even when they're in a cot. They don't understand that. So I think that a couple of suggestions there to help with getting your baby to settle in the cot when they are calm. And I think contact your midwives, get them to come and give you a hand. You're still under their care at day 9. They shouldn't have discharged you yet, and get someone to just come and have a look and see how feeding is going, and say to them, that I've suggested it. If that's still not working and you do all of that, give us a shout at the infant feeding team, and we'll do our best to try and get you into clinic and see what's happening. So all the best, and I hope things get a lot better. So I'm thinking of you tonight. I hope you get some more sleep, Joanna. Amy's come back. Thank you so much for the advice. We'll keep an eye on positioning, and hopefully that will help. I hope so too. As you can guess, anybody who's listening, we've talked about positioning attachment all the time. Even my husband will tell you 99% of breastfeeding problems are to do with positioning and attachment, and that's because he's listened to me for so many years. Stephanie's come back and said, hi, you helped. Oh, that's brilliant. I'm trying to remember what you asked, Stephanie, now. If you came back. We're going to scoot up and see if that was a question from earlier. Nope. I must have helped another time. That's fantastic. So I'm glad to hear it. So, Carolina. Oh, we've had you before. I remember your name. It's been very unusual. Her baby's now 4.5 weeks old and feeding well. However, he has days when he's sick after every feed and then wants more food, which causes him to be more sick. He's very uncomfortable, and even when picking him up and holding him upright doesn't help. We can go like that for a day and a night, and then next day he's fine. Oh, poor darling. Is there something I can do to help him? Is it something to do with my diet maybe, and are there any foods I should particularly avoid? So first and foremost, I'm going to talk about the diet. No, there are no forbidden foods when it comes to breastfeeding. You can eat whatever you want. Don't worry about that. Unless you see a particular correlation. So, we would normally say if you really think it is something, then try it again and see what happens. But the norm is that there are no forbidden foods. You can eat whatever you want. So I would say don't worry about your diet. It's unlikely to be that. Your baby's 4.5 weeks old. Is your baby one of these babies that doesn't hold their poo in? Some babies hold their poo in and they'll have a bit of a grumpy day, and then do a really big poo, and then they're happy for a few days. And then when they're grumpy, they just want to feed, because that's what babies want to do. If they're not very happy, they love feeding because it makes them feel good. But then they take too much and then they're sick. And then you end up in a bit of a spiral. So I'm just wondering, Carolina, if that's what's happening with your baby. Maybe your baby's one of those, but I'm sure you'll come back and tell me if your baby's pooing lots in one day and it isn't that. But that's just something to consider, because some babies do this. They might not poo as frequently as others, and they hold on to it, and then suddenly they'll go and it's a total poo army, and they've been really uncomfortable for most of that day until they've gone. So that might be worth considering. I am going to say positioning and attachment again. Just are you sitting somewhere differently on these days? Are you making sure your positioning attachment's always as good as it can be at every feed on those days? And it's just remembering that babies love to suck. It makes them feel nice. It's their way of contacting with you. It's their way of checking in, and they just makes them feel good. So it may, that may be part of it. Other than that, I think to sum it up, no forbidden foods. Eat whatever you want. Is your baby one of those ones that sort of holds their poo and then does it all in a punami, and they can be quite uncomfortable for the day when that happens? Or do we need to have a look at positioning and attachment again? Those are the things I'd be thinking about. 4.5 weeks, contact us if things are not improving. You're still under us. You know, we look after babies up to 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, it's under the health visitors. So, you know, do get in touch if things are not improving, and we'll do what we can to give you a hand. It could be an attend anywhere conversation, so that saves you coming in. We do it as a video conversation. They work really well, much better than I ever thought they would. If you'd said to me this time last year you're going to do loads of stuff online, I would never have believed it, and I wouldn't have believed how good it would be and how well we can, you know, we can provide care this way, and how it saves you all fighting your way into the car parks here, and how it stops you having to leave your homes. So see how you get on, Carolina, and we'll do our best to help you if need be. Charlotte's come back on again. Sorry to ask this question, but if me and my partner have another baby next year, what would the difference be? Who can come to the hospital and scan? Oh, I don't know. I'm so sorry, Charlotte. Who knows what's going to happen next year? This time last year, we had no idea what was going to come. We didn't know we were going to have to shut all our clinics and stop people coming in, and we'd all be wearing face masks all the time. So I'm afraid I can't answer that one. I mean, as it is, we don't necessarily know what's going to happen in the next few weeks, let alone next year. We will just make the experience as nice as we can. And much as I'm sure all of you that have had your babies already, and those that are coming in to have your babies, or if you are coming here, will be considering not having your partners on the wards is really awful. We do look after you as best we can. We get you home as quickly as you can, and we give you as much love as we can when you're in here. I know it's not ideal not having your partners with you. It really isn't. But we're doing the best we can with that. So Charlotte, we'll have to wait and see what happens, and let's fingers crossed things won't be like this anymore. Stephanie's come back. Thank you for all the help on the ward after I gave birth, and thank you for these videos. Oh, Stephanie, thank you. That's lovely. That's really nice. That's lovely to have a thank you. So we do our best. That's perfect. That's just after I came. We do our best. We really, really do. So I will tell you the one thing that has come out of not having partners on the wards is I find a lot more mums talking to each other. When we, this time last year, we would rarely go into a bay, a 4-bedded bay, and find the curtains open and mums chatting to each other. And now we find that more and more and more. And actually that's really quite nice. And I know that you'll miss your partners, and it's hard for us too, because certainly from a feeding point of view, we love having 2 sets of ears listening when we're talking about feeding, and we have partners listening in so they can take that information home with you. So we miss that too. But actually what we do notice is a lot more chat between the mums, a lot more support for each other, so that when your partners aren't there and at night, so when your partners wouldn't have been there, say, and at night, then actually you're being more supportive of one another, which is lovely. And I really have noticed a big difference on that, because I spend a lot of time on the wards and see that. So that was great. So Stephanie's come on there. Stephanie says her baby's 9 weeks old, exclusively breastfeeding, gets very distressed taking a bottle from dad. I'm worried about starting nursery when he's 7.5 months. Is 5-6 months a good time to try a cup? 6 months, go for it at 6 months, Stephanie. Lots and lots and lots of babies don't ever have anything other than their mummy until they get to 6 months, and then transition straight onto a cup. So don't feel pressure at 9 weeks to get him to take a bottle. You've got time to do that. It's amazing how a baby will make up for it though. Your baby will want to feed before you go to work and after you come home, and probably a feed or 2 at night, just to make sure and check in that you're still there. But he will learn, and there'll be other ways of getting milk in them. So I would go straight onto a cup at 6 months and not feel too much pressure to do anything now, and see how you get on. Paula's come back and said thank you. That's great, thank you, Paula. And Anchor has as well. I want to say thank you to you and Naomi. These sessions were my go-to during pregnancy, and I went into my breastfeeding journey feeling confident after sitting in on these sessions weekly. I recommend these sessions to anyone and everyone who is pregnant, even my friends in Chester and Edinburgh. Oh, that's lovely. My daughter lives in Edinburgh, so that's nice to know. Nice to know there are people up there. Anyway, thank you very much for saying that, and that makes it worthwhile. I will say, as you know, I was late today. It was a bit of a rush getting here, So, right, well, I don't believe it. We've finished. We've finished all those questions, I think. Can't see any more. So, let me make sure there's nothing on there. Oh no, there's more coming up there. Now, why are they not coming up on my computer? Let me refresh and see if I get a few more. Let's just try that again. Try and get the comments. Oh, 22 comments. Brilliant. Just trying to get it up. It's playing silly games with me. Brilliant. Ah, here we go. I can see a few more. Fabulous. I thought there was. Sophie's come on and said thank you. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you for your question. Where would we be without them? I can see one at the bottom, but it's not moving up the page. Let me just... Perfect. Got it now. Andrea has come on. I'm due in a week plus 3 days so far, and I've been trying to harvest colostrum. I must say, for me personally, it's really painful, but I've managed to collect 2 full syringes. My question is, should I continue to collect a few more despite my struggle with pain, or it's okay for the beginning, those 2 syringes? Thank you. Andrea, please don't carry on if it's hurting you, because it should not hurt you. I'm just going to go through hand expressing just to make sure that you're doing as good a job as you can, because really and truly it shouldn't be hurting. So if you've got a copy of Off to the Best Start, now when you're coming for your 36-week appointment, you should be offered this leaflet, so please, if you don't get offered it, ask for it. And I'm just looking for the page on hand expressing. So page 15 is the hand expressing page, so it goes through it on there, so that's a good tool to have. So then that could be your starting point. And then thinking about the breast. I've talked about oxytocin already. Oxytocin comes from the pituitary gland right back here, and it goes into the breasts. It's your feel-good hormone. It's what makes your uterus contract. It's a hormone that's quite shy. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling in pain, you're worried about someone walking in the door, that's not going to be a very good oxytocin situation. So make sure you're somewhere comfortable, that you are warm enough, etc., in a good frame of mind. Put some nice music on maybe. Then think about a little bit of massage. Visualise your baby. If you're pregnant, visualise your baby. Do you know already that you're having a boy or a girl? Think about what they're going to look like. Try to think what their face is. What are they going to be like in comparison to you and your partner? What mixture are they going to be? Colour of hair, all those things. Visualise your baby, because that will get oxytocin going and help you bond and start making that attachment. And then you can start with a bit of massage. Now this really helps from the point of view being tactile on the breast. So if you imagine something nice, something you like, just, you know, working your way over the breast. Just do both at the same time if you want, or just do one. So do that. And then you make your C, and that's what you'll see in our booklet. And when anyone's being taught by any of us, you'll hear the staff talking about the C. And that's the C there, that picture there. See that hand in a C. So you make your C with your finger and thumb. And you're going to work your way back from the base of the nipple. So you're going to work your way back, and you're going to feel, because there's a change in texture in your breast. So what you're going to do is you're going to go backwards, feeling, and here at this point you're probably not getting very much, because that's where the ducts are and they're not full. And you're going to go back and you're going to find that lumpy glandular tissue back here. Now if you can't feel that change in tissue, what you do is you work your way back 2 to 3 centimetres. So go 1, 2, 3. Then you anchor your thumb and your fingers 2 to 3 centimetres back from the base of the nipple. The ideal is that you can find that change. If you can't find that change, that's why you would do it this way. Now what you're going to do is you are not sliding. You are not doing this, okay? No sliding. You will be so sore if you're sliding. What you're aiming to do is move what's underneath the skin, not the skin. If I use my arm as an example, if I pinch my arm, I'm moving what's underneath. If you look, my fingers aren't moving on the skin. My fingers in exactly the same place. I'm releasing the pressure and I'm letting it go. You're going to do the same. You're going to find that point on your breast, or you're going to put them 2 to 3 centimetres back with your thumb and your finger in a C, and you're going to bring them in and hold like that. Can you see? It's a pinch. It's in and hold. This should not hurt. If done well, it should not hurt. You're in and hold. The hold is the long bit, so it's in and hold, keep, release. Go again, in and hold, release. Go again, in and hold, keep it, release. What I'm not doing is taking my fingers off. My fingers are staying at exactly the same place, because once you've found the right place, you don't want to let go. You don't want to move your fingers. And if you think about the breast being made up of ducts, so the ductal system coming down in lobes, so you've got the ducts of the lobes, then what you're going to do is work a section. So if you think about clock face, so break your breast into a clock face, my fingers were at 12 and 6. Now I've worked that lobe and that lobe. Now when I'm getting no more, I've carried on, I've got no more, I'm going to move round. I'm going to move round maybe to 2 and 7 or 3 and 9. And you're going to work your way round the breast. And you work each area until you get no more. So you're going to go in and hold, keep it, release. In and hold, keep it, release. Don't take your fingers off the skin, just take the pressure off and back in again. You work all the way around the breast, working each section, then you go on to the other one, then you go on to the second one, go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, aiming to do the breasts probably 3 times each breast. So if you do that, and in that way, it really should not hurt. And I'm really sad for you that it has been hurting, because that's not right. So maybe give your breasts, I'm going to check because I think a few more messages have come through. So you're due in a week and 3 days. I would give yourself a few days off. You've got 2 syringes already. You've done absolutely brilliantly. Let your breasts recover. Don't do it again for a bit, Andrea. Give yourself some time off. In a few days' time, if you're feeling less bruised, try again, but try the way I've just said. No sliding. It's finding the right place for you and holding long enough. It should not hurt. Do not do it if it's hurting. And if when you've had your baby, it's still hurting, then you need to get more support, okay? Get someone to come and watch you and see what you're doing. So key things, no sliding, find the right place for you, in and hold, keep the hold, let go, but don't take fingers off, and then in again. Good luck with that, Andrea. Speedy recovery, and hopefully it's going to get better now. Kelly has come back. Can you recommend specific videos for getting the best latch? There's an animation on the UNICEF Baby Friendly Initiative website. Sorry, my brain's not working. On the UNICEF Baby Friendly Initiative website, if you put in UNICEF BFI, it will come up. And they have an animation showing how a baby attaches. And it's really good because it shows what we talk about here. It shows about, you know, the fact that you want that chin to hit first, and the upper lip skims the nipple, and then the baby takes the nipple to the back of the mouth. And it shows that in an animation form, and then it's showing you what's happening in the mouth. So that's really good. When you go onto the UNICEF website, go onto the breastfeeding pages, because there's lots of different things on there. Go onto the breastfeeding pages, and then you'll see it's a video down on the bottom right. But there's some fantastic stuff on there, some lovely other videos as well. Well worth a look and very helpful. The other videos that we recommend and we find really useful are the global health media videos. They're fantastic as well. They're used for teaching, as you can imagine, global health around the world. So they're very multicultural, but breastfeeding is completely, borderless when it comes to babies and mothers. It's the same wherever you are. Irrelevant of what country your baby's born in, the babies go through the same processes, they come out the same way, and they feed the same way. So it's well worth looking at those global health media videos. They've got hand expressing on there too. That's another one you could be looking at. They've got cup feeding. I think they're lovely videos, and we use them for training staff because they're such lovely videos. So 2 suggestions would be the UNICEF Baby Friendly Initiative, so UNICEF BFI as you search, and the breastfeeding pages, and then also global health media videos are really, really good as well. I would definitely recommend them. So have a look at those, Kelly, and see what you think. Be good to get some feedback. If you watch them, and let us know what you think, because we think they're great. Oh, Carolina said, thank you. He did have a break with his poo before the incident and then did 2 huge big ones, which made him feel better. So it might be the case he's holding his poos. How can I help him if this is the case? Is he going to settle down eventually?
I think the attachment is good, although sometimes he doesn't open his mouth fully, or if he does, he will then pull himself away. His feeding doesn't cause me any pain apart from the first few seconds. My nipples are sore though. Oh, they should be getting better now. You shouldn't be carrying on with sore nipples. Remember to treat them like lips. Remember, you always want to be putting some form of moisturiser on them if you are sore. I always say treat them like your lips. You don't leave your lips to dry out. So that would be the first thing. If he's not opening his mouth wide, that is going to make it much more difficult to get him on well. So thinking about encouraging him to attach. So let's have a quick look at doing it. I'm going to tip over so you can see. So if you're thinking about trying to encourage a baby to attach, we brush them against the nipple. Okay, so try and encourage him to. Don't have him so close that he can go on without you pushing him on. So have him close enough that he's touching, but not close enough that he can put himself on, because you want to be in charge. So doing this and push. Okay, so if he brushes upper lip against nipple, side to side. So if you watch side to side, it's not changing. If I explain why I mean side to side, if this is his lips, side to side doesn't change the what the relationship of nipple to breast to nipple to lip. If you do up and down, you can see there's a really big change, and that's going to make attachment very difficult. So you're going to really struggle to get that right. So side to side, and encourage him to open his mouth. So that's, hopefully that will get better. I'm really sorry that you're still sore. That's really rubbish. And yes, the poos, he may not change. Some babies are a bit like that. They have grouchy days when they're a bit, when they're ready to poo. But he may get better with that as well. But I do know, I actually think about my nephew. My nephew was very much the same, and he would have a really grumpy day, and it was usually the day that he would do an enormous poo. So it's not uncommon, and why I suggest it, because it's not, it does happen quite often. These things do tend to get better, with time. Lots of these things get better. Feeding just generally gets better with time. Babies grow up, they get their mouths get bigger, they go on more, easier. You feel more confident. They end up putting themselves on eventually. So Caroline, I give you lots of hope that things will get better. But do look after those poor nipples and make sure you're persuading him to open his mouth nice and wide, because that will make a big difference. Lucy has said, I was never offered this leaflet and didn't even know about it until now. We're 39 weeks and it's a bit too late to get it, I suppose. Lucy, you'll get it when you're here. We will give you one when you're on the wards. We should be giving them out at the 36-week appointment when you come for your scan. I know I was asked for another box the other day, and I'm rather hoping someone has given them a box. There are posters in the lifts saying, please remember to ask for your leaflet. So I will need to make sure that make sure we've stocked them. Maybe that day, Lucy, they'd run out, but any of you out there coming in for your 36-week scan, please ask for the leaflet, because it is something that you've got time to look at before your baby comes, rather than looking at it afterwards. If when you're here and we give you another one, by all means hand it back, because we will recycle it. Or say when they come to you, I've got that leaflet, and the midwife will take it out. That would be great, because we print them actually, and if we can reuse them, and that would be brilliant. So I can see you've put the resources leaflet up there. Fabulous, thank you. Kelly has put, thank you so much for your advice, and Lucy has too. Well, ladies, it's 20, and gentlemen, it's 28 past. So any other questions before I go and have my late lunch? I rushed straight here from clinic, so I managed to grab a banana on the way, and that was it. But if there's any more questions, so you have a quick look down. Oh, Joanna's come on. Thanks for the advice. I also have a question regarding feeding itself. He feeds well around 15 to 20 minutes each breast. However, he goes to sleep from time to time and just using my breast for comfort, sucking no milk. Should I wake him or reattach, for example, with the second breast? Well, Joanna, this is what we call the chocolate pudding with a teaspoon bit. When he's on and doing those little flutters and long pauses, he is still feeding, he's still getting high-fat milk at that point in time. He's not getting big volumes. It's not like right at the beginning when you hear that suck, swallow, suck, swallow, suck, swallow. He is still getting milk, so we would highly recommend you leave him there and let him come off on his own. We would, if you want to encourage him to carry on while he is sucking, you could do compressions. And I know Naomi's done this lots of times, but he's doing that in and hold while he's sucking. So he suck, 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 and he stops,
release. He starts again, you compress. He stops, you release. He starts again, you compress. And this way you'll get that little bit more into him. You might encourage him to come off. You can encourage him to come off also by putting a little bit more pressure on his shoulders. We call the shoulders the on switch. So if he's there and he's really not doing very much, just pop a bit more pressure on his shoulders. Just bring him in and hold him in. And that might remind him he's there. So comfort is part of feeding. I mean, feeding is way, way more than just food. Babies absolutely love it. They love being at the breast. It's an amazing mothering tool for you going forward. You know, some of you already may have been through the vaccinations, and actually if you can pop your baby on the breast after they've had the vaccines, it's the most fantastic way of calming a baby that's upset by the vaccines. If a baby's unwell, they'll often feed very happily at the breast because they find that comforting and loving, and therefore they don't become less dehydrated. And that will be the first thing they'll do. If they get a scare, there's a big loud noise, they're upset, they're cold, there are so many reasons. And don't forget, you can feed your babies for your reasons too. So, you know, you might be sitting at home, you might be out there at the moment, your partner has gone to work, or maybe they're upstairs working in their home office, which is everybody's having to do. And you're feeling a bit low and could do with a nice oxytocin boost. You can pick your baby up and feed them. It's a two-way process. We don't talk about demand feeding anymore. We talk about responsive feeding. So responsive feeding is a two-way process. It's reciprocal. So if you're sitting there feeling a bit low, offer your baby a breast. You'll get a lovely oxytocin rush and have that lovely cuddle. And I'm sure your baby won't object to an extra feed. And if you're feeling full, rather than getting the pump out, pick the baby up, give your baby a feed. There are really good reasons for you to be feeding your baby, not just from your reasons, not just feeding your baby for their reasons. But with regard to this, we would be suggesting that you try and encourage them to come off on their own, in their own time. We like babies that come off what we call spontaneously. They let go of the breast on their own. The risk is if you take a baby off too soon, then we show you here. We have a suck swallow pattern that we use, and anyone who's been on the wards when we've been up doing our teaching will have seen these. Oh, there it is. So this is the suck swallow pattern of a baby. So a baby goes on and they do quick, 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 and then they go into long, deep sucks. And I'm really sorry, I think you'll get this back to front. Long, deep sucks with pauses. And you can hear the swallowing, and then this is the bit you're talking about. This is the chocolate pudding with a teaspoon. This is little flutter sucks and big long pauses, little flutter sucks and big long pauses. And this is the really high fat milk that we don't want to deprive them of. Your baby may not look like they're doing very much, but this is really calorific, and it's really great to leave your baby there until they come off on their own. And then you offer the second side. So this can be anywhere between 5 and 40 minutes. So hopefully that makes sense to you. So sorry about that, Joanne. That may be not the answer you wanted, but you are a huge comfort to your baby. Remember, they're adjusting to life in this strange new world. I think we've done. I don't think I've missed anything, but I've just looked actually, and I've just noticed you said he feeds for 15 to 20 minutes, and that's a pretty standard length of time. But anywhere between 5 and 40 is really normal. Oh, I see you've come back. Joanna, Caroline's gone, thank you very much for the advice. It's good to know what causes him being uncomfortable. Sometimes I'll try and encourage him to open his mouth more. Yes, do. You get a much better attachment. Joanna's come back, I'm feeling low, but that's also because I lost a lot of breast through C-section. Feels like I don't have enough milk. I'm hoping it will change soon. Thank you so much. It's really tough in these days. As much stimulation as you can do. We know that people who have lost, I think you mean blood there maybe, lose blood. It can be more challenging to get your milk supply up. It usually there's a bit of a delay. Just keep going, keep feeding. If you can face expressing as well, then do to get your milk up. Yes, I thought that's what it's just come up blood, sorry. That's what I thought, so that's how I read it. We know, I mean, I've dealt with quite a few people recently who've had postpartum hemorrhages for one reason or another, and lost a lot of blood after the birth.
and we know it can put you on the back foot. But the nice thing about it is, whilst it may put you on the back foot, it seems to be transitory. It seems to pass. So we think that it just puts a delay in of your milk coming in, getting your milk supply up. Obviously the hard bit of that is that your baby's requirement of milk is going up and your milk supply is not quite matching it. You're sitting down here and the baby's up here, but it does meet. You do get there. So hold on in there, Joanna. Keep going. It will get better. And I feel like I've sent that to everybody on today. It will get better. And yeah, I'm thinking of you, and obviously access as much help as you can. Remember that. Don't struggle on your own. Anyone out there, don't struggle on your own. As I keep saying to people, I wouldn't have a job if feeding was always straightforward. So we know that it's not easy. It's a learned skill. It takes time to master. And as I said, to keep saying to the mums, I was doing lots of teaching earlier in the week, and I kept saying to them, you don't put on a pair of skis or get behind a wheel of a car and think you're going to know what to do. It takes time. It's a learned skill, but oh my word, it is so worth it. Because when you master it and when it goes right, life will be a lot easier, and things will go really well, and you'll have milk on tap. So, anyway, I think that's the end of it. I think I'm just looking to see if there's any more. I think Joanna's is the last one. So give me a nudge if I've missed anyone. I'll just make sure I've got nothing on here. No. Right, well, I'm going to sign off now because it's 15:36 until next week, and I think there'll be 2 of us next week. Naomi's back from annual leave, and we'll find out what she decorated. We'll ask her. All the best to all of you. Know where we are. Contact us if you need us. You can email us. You can phone us. Our contact details are on the OUH webpage, and do access help if you need it. All the best to one and all. Okay, bye bye. Bye, Joanna.